Welcome to another edition of The Barking Dead.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of EPL on Pub.
Class is in session, hitting the books on Pub Sports.
This is another exciting edition of the main event on Talking Ant.
Welcome to the College Football Pub Hub Show, Saturday, October 29th on Pub Sports Radio. Ian Cameron, Conor Mac, and Big Ragoo ready to take you through the Saturday college football card. We send our best wishes to DJ Big Boss, who is not with us again this Saturday, feeling under the weather still. We hope you're feeling better, my friend, sooner rather than later. We've got a huge Saturday college card. Let's get to it. We will start with, well, not the most glamorous matchup, but if you have a betting angle, you have a betting angle. I actually do in this first game. Boston College and UConn. We've got Boston College 8-point road favorites, 44 the total in this game. And the angle is I can't lay 8 points on the road with Boston College. That's the angle. I actually like UConn here in this game a little bit. The one thing you've seen from Jim Mora Jr.'s team is fight. You've seen some competitiveness. You've seen this team actually rise up and have some pretty decent results from time to time this year. And at the end of the day, when it comes to fading Boston College, who, by the way, are not only 2-5 this year, 1-6 against the spread, they are winless. 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread on the road this year, Boston College. And now we're going to lay 8 with them in this game. They just got absolutely just destroyed in back-to-back games by Clemson and Wake Forest. Granted, very good football teams, obviously, but you lose 74-18. Combined score in those games, you know things aren't going well. And say what you will about UConn, but they've covered 4 straight. They had a bad loss to NC State during that span, but they had the huge upset over Fresno State. They beat up Florida International. They had a chance to beat Ball State last week, but wire-to-wire point spread cover, losing just by 4 points. This is a competitive football team. The defense has gotten better and better with each week, and the quarterback, Zion Turner, has returned from an early season injury, and he's given that offense a little bit of a jolt. So give me the Huskies here, plus the 8 points. Conor Mac, what do you think here? BC, UConn.
Yeah, I think this is crazy as well. I don't think Boston College should be favored, much of anybody. And you mentioned how good UConn's been, just covering numbers. That tough loss to Ball State. But the Fresno win comes to mind. This team is not bad. Their offense isn't great, but they're not that bad defensively. And this Boston College team, they can't run it. They have a horrible offensive line. I just don't know, I'd lay it any day. Give me the points, take this money line as well. Obviously with these two teams, I'd go to this under. It's just 44.5. I just can't totally go crazy and endorse it, but that'd be the only look, would be the under as well.
Yeah, the under as well. Now, I get it, the Boston College, they played Wake, Clemson, Florida State, pretty tough schedule, but UConn did play Syracuse and Michigan and NC State, so it's not like UConn didn't play anybody. Someone told me the other week, the one thing I'd be worried about, Ian, you like UConn so much, what about the strength of schedule? Well, hold on now. They played Michigan, Syracuse, and NC State, UConn. I mean, those are pretty good football teams, so it's not like they played the Sisters of the Poor and nothing else. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to like what UConn's doing right now, especially for the bettors. 6-2 to the number, which is solid. And like you said, defensively, they don't go after it hard offensively because Moore's first year. And kudos to these guys taking on the bigger schools. A lot of them ACC schools, obviously, and UConn's an independent. But I like what they're doing, and this could be a sneaky good spot to a little sprinkle here. So I would definitely be on the UConn side. I don't want nothing to do with Boston College right now. And this is probably going to be a game, I don't think it's going to be a rival game because of the proximity of where they're located. But, they're probably wanting to smack them around a little bit too, possibly.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we got a battle in the state, in the MAC. Miami O, Akron. Miami O, 8-point road favorites, 50 the total. I agree with the total going up, 46.5 to 50. Miami's got their number one quarterback. He came back last week, Brett Gabbert. He's obviously returning. That's obviously going to bolster the offense. Not that Avion Smith, the guy that took his spot, was terrible, but he certainly doesn't give you what Brett Gabbert can with that Miami O offense. As far as Akron goes, we know this team defensively still is pretty weak, and you would think they're going to have some struggles here today against Brett Gabbert and that Miami O offense. The Akron offense, though, it's been capable at times. DJ Irons has been kind of inconsistent, but he can put together some good games. And the one thing Akron usually does is they usually avoid getting shut down completely offensively. So, rather than lay the points, I mean, I certainly think Miami's the better team. I kind of lean to them, but I don't love laying more than a touchdown, especially when you got an in-state rivalry such as this. I just gravitated more toward the over. I totally get why that number went all the way up from 46.5 to 50. That 46.5 definitely looked a little bit too low, considering Miami has Gabbert returning at the quarterback spot now for the second straight week. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, well, that go into points. I kind of agree that maybe trickled up, but I maybe think that's gone up too much. This offense just hasn't been very good for a Miami O. I know getting him back might be a little bit better, but 16-10, Bowling Green, they didn't play great. They have an unbelievable defense. So if this creeps more, then it's hit 50. I look under the more and more now in this game. And there's just Miami, Ohio is the better team. It's just we got all these dogs in the MAC. I think 2 of 3 can cover, maybe all 3. Miami, Ohio maybe gets this win, but I wouldn't be rushing to lay that. I'd take this 8 with Akron.
That's exactly the fear I have, Conor Mac. It's the underdog conference that the MAC has become this year and in a lot of years past. It's leery to lay this kind of price. And by the way, starting this week, we're into November. We're going to have midweek MAC college football. About time. So make sure, even more reason to tune in Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, hitting the books. Connor and I, we will have all the MAC games during the week covered for you right there on the show on Monday. Big Ragoo, what do you like here?
Yeah, I'm with Connor. I'm not rushing to the window, anytime soon to back Miami in this spot, especially, giving up more than a touchdown. Both of these teams have had offensive struggles. I mean, Miami's been averaging right at about 19 points, and believe it or not, Akron's averaging a little bit more than Miami has at right around 20. So, I mean, conference underdog. I lean under, and I definitely lean Akron. But Akron's 1-7 straight up, and Miami O is 1-7 to the under. So, and Akron's 3-5 to the under. So, I lean under, and I definitely lean Akron.
All right, lean under, lean Akron. Next up, Big 12. We've got TCU, West Virginia in Morgantown. TCU laying 7 on the road here. 69 the total in this one. It's just become wash, rinse, repeat for me, and I've become very repetitive on this show. But death taxes, TCU overs, and that's where I'm headed in this game. Another over involving TCU. TCU 5-2 to the over this year, and when you look at the games that stayed under, I mean Colorado stayed under because Colorado's had a horrible offense all year the first week of the season, and the only other under was Kansas 38-31. It barely stayed under. So TCU's been an over machine. Good luck stopping this offense with Kendre Miller, the great running back, great receivers. Max Duggan playing at an incredible level right now for TCU, throwing it, running it, using his legs to run the football. I mean, look at this offense, 59, 42, 55, 38, 43, and 38. I mean, they are slicing and dicing Big 12 defenses in recent weeks, and this is probably a defense they can slice and dice. West Virginia, they've only given up 38 to Texas, 40 to Baylor, 48 to Texas Tech in the last 3 games. So good luck trying to stop them. I guess the one concern I'd have about the over here is West Virginia's offense. I can't explain how they only scored 10 points last week. Dreadful performance from JT Daniels in that offense. 3 interceptions for him in that game. They couldn't run the football. Bryce Ford Wheaton was really the only receiver that made plays down the field. That's got to change if this game's going to go over. But at home, I'd expect West Virginia's offense to move the ball. And it's not like TCU's defense is a lock you down type of defense. They gave up 34 to SMU, 31 to Kansas, 40 to Oklahoma State, 28 to Kansas State. But they had given up most of those 28 points to Kansas State when Martinez and Howard were in the game before they started losing all their quarterbacks left to right to injury in that game. Yeah. So I'm not sold on the TCU defense. I like this game up and over the total. Conor Mac, what do you think? TCU, West Virginia.
Got to hit up the chat real quick. Bill McHugh, what's up? Chris Brady, Nunya, Blaze, how's it going? Jerry Young, G. Martinez, Miles Johnson. Shout out to everybody. Rants.
And a lot of the same names that show up this early on a Saturday. We appreciate it. Way to go.
Hell yeah. Well, they want to get that cash. We all want to
Exactly.
get paid, especially on a huge Saturday like this. And real quick, as you see, Chris Brady, our guy, a couple other Spencer signed up, Dave before here. Sign up for our membership if you can. $4.99 a month. We're gonna color on up. We're gonna get more involved with it later on. But help us out here at Post Sports Radio. We appreciate it. The link's right below. If you click off, it's right in the description, so you can't miss it. All right, let's get to it. You know what? There's nothing. Every stat here shows just TCU, except West Virginia's at home and West Virginia's own them. Neil Brown's kicked TCU's ass. I think 3 straight in this meeting. So that's where I think this could be close. You mentioned how bad West Virginia was. Daniels wasn't very good, but I think he can move the ball, and in the end, there's probably points in, and I lean West Virginia. If I had the free bet, I'd take the 7 in the hook, but in the end, I'm going to stay off. I just don't trust them, but this is where you want them at home here. I wouldn't blame anyone for taking 7 in the hook with West Virginia.
Yeah. This one's tricky from a side perspective for me. It really is. I mean, I probably would lean to the home underdog. I'm always interested when I see these 7.5 point home dogs, but at the same point in time, man, I don't know where they're going to get the stops on that with that shitty defense of theirs. I really don't against this TCU team. And that's the big fear. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, my initial look was over. Lean. I know the number's kind of sitting up there just a little bit. It's up from 63, so it's climbing. I don't want to chase the bad end of a number because I didn't get involved early on, but we can see this thing clip 70. Not pretty easily, but I can see both teams getting into the mid and high 30s here. So, that hook comes into play for me also. With the 7, and the home teams have done pretty well of late in conference in the Big 12. And I know it's not the same TCU team. The Gary Patterson, obviously with Sonny running that offense, that steamrolling offense, which they're putting up numbers in bunches. So West Virginia, I think they can rise up to the task at home. They're going to contribute to that total. So I mean, if you like the over, I mean, normally you say, okay, give me TCU, but West Virginia is going to have their say, and I think they help it get over. TCU is not going to do it by themselves, and I think the the double score here, plus score, it's going to come into play. So I see a tighter game. I see a high scoring game, but if it's over 7.5, I lean with West Virginia hard at home, and I definitely like the over too. Anything below 68, 69. If we start getting up, I think the better part number's gone, but I still lean over here.
Still lean over. All right. We got Georgia Tech, Florida State. Florida State, 22.5 point home favorites, 48 the total. I split this one up with a first half full game. I'm laying the points here with Florida State. Now, I know they've had some rough times here, 3 straight losses. But, man, Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, are we really going to throw Florida State in the dump for those 3 losses? I mean, those are good football teams, all 3 of them. That they lost to. They come back home. They get to beat the hell out of one of the worst teams in the ACC. And remember the last time they were in this spot, they were at home facing a lowly team in this conference, Boston College. That game ended 44-14 in favor of Florida State. So I think this is a wipe the floor with Georgia Tech kind of game. They had that little, uptick after the coaching change, Georgia Tech. They upset Pitt. They beat Duke. And then they fell back down and they realized, hey, we're just not that good of a football team. I mean, that was pathetic on offense last week against Virginia. 16-9. The O-line was brutal. Jeff Sims was running for his life. They couldn't get anything established in terms of a ground game. Nothing worked offensively. They actually played okay defensively, but it's not like Virginia is a great offense. I think for Florida State, this is a week they get the offense revved up, and this is a week that defense, after a couple of rough showings there against Wake and Clemson, they bounce back with a much better performance. So I'm going to go with a first half and a full game split with the Noles here today. We'll start with Big Ragoo on this one since he's the Noles guy. What do you think?
Yeah,
Noles?
I'm the Noles guy. I'm the Noles expert, if you will. Not so much, but I get a little bit of ear to the ground with these guys. But I called it a couple weeks ago when that 3-game stretch was coming up for them. I said, if we catch 1, I'd be happy. If we win 2, I'd be ecstatic. But all the opposites happened there. And the Wake Forest and the Clemson game were winnable games for them too. NC State, they got outplayed. They got demolished there. But yeah, I agree with you, Ian. I think this is a good comeback spot for FSU facing an inferior Georgia Tech team. I mean, the thing with Tech is even before Sims went out, they had some issues moving the football. And then, we might see 2 or 3 quarterbacks today against this team. And I think the FSU's defense is going to be able to step up and play here. And I'm with you. The games that they had trouble with, they've gotten blown out, against the bigger teams. They played down, some middle competition, but when they played Clemson, Ole Miss, teams that can move the football, they struggled mightily. So I'm with you on that. I like the first half full game split here. I think Florida State handles business at the dope.
Exactly, and off a bye week as well. The Noles.
Bye week too. Exactly.
Yeah, recharge, and they were a little bit, not a little bit, they were a lot banged up with injuries going into the bye. They're a lot healthier. It looks like both sides of the football coming out of the bye week, so that should help. And Jeff Sims is questionable, by the way, for Georgia Tech.
Exactly.
We might see the Akron transfer. Actually played a lot of games there, multi-years. Zach Gibson might actually be the quarterback today for Georgia Tech, but not confirmed yet. It'll be game time decision. Conor Mac, what do you think here? G Tech and FSU.
You know what? If Sims plays, I'd be on the other side of you guys here. We got a 3-4 Georgia Tech team, a 4-3 Florida State team. Obviously, Florida State's better. But 23 points is a ton. I don't think Sims plays, though. I'm going to watch this, and I don't think I'm going to get to the window because I don't think he does. Gibson wasn't very good, and he's not very good. So I don't blame you. If he's in, he's going to be running for his life. He was sacked 7 times in that game. Last week, that he was only in there like half the time.
It's not even a great defense either, Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, decent defense. We'll get to them later. Here in a little bit. But yeah, if I knew Sims was a go, I think that's a boatload of points they could hang within the number. But I don't think he does, so I think I'm gonna have to stay off.
Yeah. I just think they're in a rough time here with this Florida State team. All right, next up we've got, as we continue along here. Let me just see. We lost our place. Oh, here we go. The Big Ten showdown, big noon on Fox, Ohio State and Penn State. We've got Ohio State 15.5-point road favorite, 60.5 the total in this game. I don't know how much of a showdown it's going to be. It could be more of a whitewash, but I sure as hell am not stepping in front of Ohio State. There's no way that's happening. This offense is just electric right now. I mean, to think they put up 54 points against Iowa, who's got a pretty good defense, all things considered. I mean, that tells you just how ridiculous it is with C.J. Stroud, the great offensive line, Travion Henderson, all the great receivers they have. It's just an embarrassment of riches what Ryan Day's team has at their disposal offensively. And now you compare that with a defense that has dramatically improved this year under the new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, who's a home run hire, getting him from Oklahoma State. This is a team that can win the championship this year. With all due respect to Alabama, Georgia, those SEC powers, why can't Ohio State win it with the defense improving, with what we're seeing out of this potent offense every single week? Penn State, to me, they are at home. This in a Happy Valley. We know they can be tough there, and they sometimes can rise up for these big-time games, but their best and toughest game by far this year was Michigan, and they got ambushed in that game. They couldn't stop the run either in that game. And you look at the series history here with these two teams, and especially here in Happy Valley, the last time Ohio State traveled here, they were 10-point favorites. They won 38-25 in that game. They've won by 9, by 13, by 11 in the last 3 years. Not a real sign of Penn State being able to truly hang with this team in terms of right down to the wire. And I worry about their defense a little bit. And we'll see again with their offense as well. The O-line at times has been shaky for Penn State. I'm off this game entirely, but I just made the decision weeks ago. I'm not really going to be in a rush to step in front of Ohio State. And keep in mind, this is one of the top teams in the country. They could win it all. You would think they're going to be priced too expensive, and they're going to have a tough time covering some of these big numbers. That has not been the case. They are 5-0 ATS their last 5 games. Actually, 4-0-1 because the Rutgers game was a push. But the other games that they were laying, less than 30 or 31 or less, they covered each of them, including the 3 of them in the Big Ten. So, this is just not a game I'm looking at back Ohio State. It's a premium. We do see that the last few meetings, Ohio State hasn't achieved this type of margin of victory, 16 or more, but I'm not still in a rush to bet against the Buckeyes right now. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, though. I'm just not ready to rush. Is 9, 13, 11. Those are all covers of this number, and they are at home. But after seeing Penn State get gashed, I think Ohio State can do similar. in this one. I look at Ohio State's team total if you like it. I do think it gets over. I think Penn State will be able to score a little bit. Hey, Ohio State hasn't gone on the road yet. I mean, very good football team. They haven't really gone and done much. So big game for them. It's just tricky. I think they win here, but it's just who wants to lay the 15? I don't. But I think it gets over.
Yeah, they're fine. I know Jackson Smith and Jigba's been ruled out, but they're fine with Marvin Harrison. They're fine with Emeka Egbuka. They're fine with those two guys. Those two guys have combined for almost 80 receptions this year, so they'll be fine, I think, in the passing game still. Penn State's secondary has been solid, but still, has it faced a passing attack like this? Even Michigan, Michigan shredded them in that game, and Michigan doesn't have the passing game Ohio State does. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I think if you're looking at the number, if you're looking at the total, like you said, I think Ohio State's. If you look at, let's start out with the team total. So they got them set at 38.5 and 21.5. So that's a 17-point margin just in team total. So the line's sitting 14.5 right now. The hook possibly. So you find a little bit of value there if you're on the side for Ohio State. But I think Penn State's going to get their points, without doubt. Penn State's defense is pretty decent. Ohio State's offense is spectacular, and their defense is ranked second. So they got it going on both sides of the ball. With Knowles coming on, and but they are playing in Happy Valley. I think it's a little bit of an overlay for the number in my book. This game to me's got backdoor written all over it, somehow, some way. But if you like the over, I think you gotta like Penn State here, even though all the accolades are to Ohio State. Just a game in Happy Valley with Penn State, even though they got shredded by Michigan, even though this, that, and the other, they're still Penn State. They're still playing in Happy Valley, and I think that's going to pay dividends for them here. I think I see Penn State with a back door here, but I like the over a little bit more than I like Penn State.
Fox, by the way, in national television contracts kind of screwed over Penn State here, because Penn State is always a tougher place to play at night when they have the white out under the lights, kind of like Baton Rouge for LSU home games. So the fact this is noon at earlier start is probably worse for Penn State, better for Ohio State, if you ask me. It won't be quite that same atmosphere and environment quite that you would get there at night. All right, next up as we continue along here, Notre Dame and Syracuse. ACC matchup. Syracuse 1.5 point home favorites, 48 the total. I have not bet this game. I will not be betting this game. I will say this: Syracuse is flat out better than Notre Dame. There is no question about that. They are the better football team this year right now. But losing the first game of the season, losing it the way they did, battle their guts out against Clemson, have the interception at the end just as they were potentially driving for the game-winning touchdown. That's a tough loss. That's one where, you got to pick yourself up off the mat if you're going to bounce back from a loss like that. Your first loss of the year, you freaking hung in there with a mighty Clemson team and you fell just short. This is not the spot I'm looking to take Syracuse. It's not. I think they're better. I could only back Syracuse, not in this spot. Easy pass. Conor Mac, you got anything here?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this game, and I get why Notre Dame could win. Their best has been on the road, where they're 3-0 ATS, and they haven't been able to get it at home. Usually they're laying a big number. But, in the end, just to win the game, it's Syracuse or pass for me. I just think right now they're the better football team. I know coming off that loss to Clemson, but they're back home in that dome. Just keep running it. I think they have the better quarterback in Schrader, who's not crazy good. Maybe it's close, but this is just Syracuse or pass in the end for me.
I feel that way too. I feel like, man, this is cheap. Syracuse in the dome there, a 1.5 point home favorite. But the thing is, that first loss of the season spot, when you go this deep into the season undefeated, you lose that first game. I rarely back you the next week after you lose that first game, because I worry about where the psyche is, especially the way they lost. That was Clemson, took a lot out of them. They almost beat them, and they fell just short. I worry that it's a clunker here today. And if that's the case, Notre Dame can absolutely win. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky spot for the Cuse here. We know they're solid football. We know they took Clemson, even though the score they got the cover in that game of the 14 points they got inside that number. It's like you said, coming off that loss. And Notre Dame, you don't know what you're going to get with them. 1 week they can play a really good football game, and the next week they can shit the bed. And then that's what makes it tricky. You got the double indemnity here. But I know if you're looking at the angle of the bets coming in, I know the bigger bets are coming in on Notre Dame with that line dropping. It opened up at 4.5. It's sitting at 1.5 now. So that kind of put me off the game too a little bit though. But yeah, this is a dangerous spot for if you're going to bet Cuse, just be wary in this spot.
Might be one of those games where it's a great live betting game. If Syracuse looks like they're sharp, they're on their toes, they're making catches, no drop passes, no stupid penalties, because that's when you can tell they're friggin' shaking with turnovers, receivers dropping passes, mistakes. If you see that kind of shit, turnovers, if you see that, then stay away from Syracuse. Maybe you bet Notre Dame in game. But if you see they're sharp, they come out, put a nice drive together, you see them moving the ball, it doesn't look like they're it looks like they're into the game still, then maybe you bet Syracuse live, because if they're into this, they beat Notre Dame. They're better. And Drew Pine, one drive he looks great, one drive he looks bad for Notre Dame. It's hard to fathom how erratic he's been. Toledo, Eastern Michigan. Wow, holy Toledo is what I'm about to say. This opened 9-point road favorite, Toledo, down to 5.5 now in this one. 54 the total in this game. There must be an issue with Daquan Finn, who's been questionable, but I thought he was cleared for this game, and maybe he's not going to play after all for the Toledo Rockets. Either way, he didn't play great down the stretch against Buffalo last week. What a collapse by Toledo. And I'm the benefactor of it. I had the Buffalo Bulls plus the points last week. I thought it was looking bad for Buffalo, but they erased a 31-10 deficit, and they won 34-31 over Toledo last week. What a incredible comeback by the Buffalo Bulls. And I'm not laying points with Toledo, and me with Eastern Michigan. They're an underdog. I usually back them, and I did that here, but I did it at a better number than this. It's down to 5.5. I still lean Eastern Michigan, lean over the total as well with this one. Both offenses. And look, Toledo's defense, very shaky at times. So that's why I was surprised this total has hung around in the low 50s the way it has. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, you know what? I think if Finn's in or not, him out. I mean, if he's in, I still want to back Eastern Michigan. And that was good. I got over the touchdown. Like you talked about, it's come down. I took a money line as well. So this is it. You ran through it all. Eastern Michigan, home dog. I think they cover and they might win it outright.
I agree. EMU over the total as well, because 3 straight overs for Toledo. Good enough offense, not good enough defense. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yep, and a lot better defense on Eastern Michigan for sure. So the home dog role here, and the question marks around Toledo. I was on the Eastern Michigan side anyways, but I didn't put the play in yet, so I might take a little pause on that. But if I do, I might sprinkle a little something on them also. But yeah, I like the Eastern Michigan side here. There's no question about it.
Yep, we co-signed that Eastern Michigan there.
Rubber stamp that puppy.
Yeah, exactly. We all agree. Eastern Michigan there. All right, Big 12, Oklahoma, Iowa State. Oklahoma 1.5-point road favorites, 58.5 the total in this game. For the first time this year, I'm on the Sooners. I don't think I've backed Oklahoma yet this year, but I'm going to here. Yeah, they've got their issues. The defense still, struggling but at the same time, a lot of those 42 points they gave up to Kansas before their bye week, was later in the game. They were up big. Maybe they fell asleep. It still was a better defensive effort than we had seen from them against Texas, TCU, Kansas State, all those brutal games they had. And yes, they've, are struggling to cover numbers as well. But now they're in a price range finally where they just have to win a football game, in order to cover this number. And this is a game that's winnable. There's nothing about Iowa State, though. Actually, their defense is pretty decent, but the offense isn't. Hunter Denkers ain't it. I've said this all year. He is not a quarterback I trust, especially in the waning moments of games. Even the Texas game where Iowa State was right there at the end, couldn't make the play, to win the football game. And that's what you're going to have to do here in a pick-em price range. And even with that leaky defense, and there's no doubt Iowa State's defense is better than Oklahoma's, but I still think Oklahoma's going to move that football. Their offense is good, especially now Dylan Gabriel healthy again. They had a great game against Kansas. I like Oklahoma here. I think this is a discount. You're finally getting a buy low spot on Oklahoma after some rough weeks there, a rough patch there with those 3 brutal losses that they had, Texas, TCU, Kansas State. Tough schedule as well. Those are all good football teams. I think Oklahoma wins here on the road in Ames. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, this is a game I'm not going to be involved with at all. If I were to bet it, I'd be on the other side. I got to see more from Oklahoma. You might be right and win this one. And, Gabriel's back. They do look better. Maybe that defense, and maybe this defense, because this is a shitty offense, Iowa State, will make them look pretty good. We'll see if this is lower scoring or higher scoring today. But, at Ames at home there, even though their defense is still solid, I think this game's close. So it's just too tough, to pick them or one here for me to get involved.
All right, Big Ragoo.
This is where Iowa State lives, and these games where they're like 1 point, 2 point games, and they're always around the number too. Magically, somehow they always do it. They're on an 0-4 skid in the Big 12, and both teams are struggling. More so Oklahoma on the defensive side, but Iowa State's offense isn't setting the world on fire anytime soon. See, that's going to be the equalizer. So I see a tight game either way, in Ames, and I think it comes down to a field goal one way or the other. So maybe Iowa State gets to walk away with a win, or maybe they don't. So I'm going to be off of the spot.
All right. No pass for Big Ragoo in this one. All right. South Florida, Houston. We've got Houston 17.5-point home favorites, 59 the total. Actually, the under right now is being bet as we speak a little bit here in this game. So does anyone feel comfortable laying this kind of number with Houston right now? Because I sure as hell don't. I mean, I've said this all year. This team has greatly underachieved. They look like they've been something's been off. Something's been missing. This was expected to be an AAC contender. They haven't played like it. I know the last 2 weeks they stole one from Memphis. Memphis basically gagged that game away against Houston. So let's not give them too much credit for that comeback win. And then Navy a couple weeks ago, it was a good spot for Houston. Whenever you have the bye week and then you get to face that Navy triple option, the extra time to prepare does come in handy, and they were able to do well against Navy there. But I'm not going to write too much into this 2-game win streak. It's still been a disappointing season. They've been hugely overvalued from a point spread perspective. And the key against South Florida is your run defense has to be pretty good. And it's shockingly been weak for Houston this year. They're giving up 147 rushing yards per game, only 72nd in the country against the run. And that's critical for South Florida because oftentimes if they can't run the football, they can't move the football. I think they're going to be able to here against this Houston defense. Now, Jerry Bohannon's hurt, so Contravis Marsh had to take over at the quarterback spot last week for South Florida, and Bohannon's done for the year, so it's going to be now Contravis Marsh's football team here, and he played okay, actually, honestly. 2 touchdowns against Tulane last week, even though they lost the game after Bohannon got injured. I think when you look at this matchup here, there's just no faith in me, especially in this coach either, Dana Holgerson, who to me, this team, a lot of times too, when he has this big projected team, sometimes falls short of expectations. So I like USF here, South Florida above 17.5. I'll take the Bulls here. I think they keep this competitive. And actually, if you look at South Florida's results, lost by 14 to Tulane, lost by 4 to Cincinnati. The last few weeks, they've been more competitive. Let's not forget they almost upset Florida earlier this year as well. So I think they're capable here as getting this kind of number, 17.5. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Marsh, like you talked about, was pretty good. But what they need to do is hand it off and run all over Houston. And Houston is going to throw it all over this horrible South Florida pass defense. You know what I mean? So they're not good that way. So, you know what? This total's come down a little bit.
Which puzzles me, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I stayed off it. It's pretty crazy because, I mean, obviously it's high at 60, 59, but I still think it creeps over this number. I wanted 3 touchdowns, of course, to really love South Florida, but I think the back door's open here for sure. This one was very close. I just don't know if I bet this one in the end, but yeah, I'd only lean to the points right there with you.
I just got a 58.5 at Heritage Sports. I just saw it fall to as low as 58,
I see it
and
right
I
now.
tagged it just now as you were talking, over 58.5, because it's actually below the key number of 59. 31-28 is a common final score. So I think at 58.5, I've got to look over now with that total. The 60s,
and
I wasn't interested.
Defense, everything.
Yeah. Now I am. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I was not dumbfounded, but if you look at Houston's 3 home games, they're all non-covers. They're 3 and 4 to the number. As bad as South Florida looks, on paper, like you said, if you start peeling some things back, then you see some nice little cover spots in there with them. This could be another one possibly. I think the overs, they played to the over a bunch, and Houston, they've been over like 6 out of the last 7. So that was my initial look, and that I was like Connor, that kind of put me off a little bit because I was leaning real hard on the over here. I mean, I like what they did against Navy, then they get to come back home and play South Florida. But if South Florida is going to try to run the ball at them, that might chew a little bit of clock up too. So maybe that's what the gamblers are looking at here, looking at South Florida, maybe taking a little bit more control on the offensive side and keeping that Houston offense, which has been struggling a bit. But like I say, last game they put up 38. So I still lean it over. I think the better part of the numbers coming our way. So we might have to jump back in on that.
Yeah, definitely. I like over now that it's fallen to 58.5, 59. All right, SEC matchup, Arkansas, Auburn. Arkansas, 3.5-point road favorites, 60.5 the total in this one. With this number falling a little bit to where it has, I like Arkansas a little bit, laying 3.5. I like over the total here even more. 3 straight overs for Arkansas. The offenses look good. KJ Jefferson, they shredded BYU, 52 points. And I think they're going to move the ball on this Auburn defense. We saw Auburn give up 42 to Georgia, 48 to Ole Miss in their last 2 games. I mean, KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, that duo running the football, Jefferson with his legs and throwing the ball, they should do damage against Auburn's defense. But I think when you look at this Auburn offense, which I've ripped for much of the year, starting to play a little bit better. Robbie Ashford is still a development in progress. Tank Bigsby, though, still have a pretty good running back in him. When you look at the Arkansas defense, the run defense hasn't been very good. The pass defense has been even worse. So it actually makes me think Ashford, who's slowly, gradually improving, throwing the ball week by week, can do some damage against an Arkansas defense that's just been absolutely shredded and gashed the last 3 weeks. So I like this. I like Arkansas just because you're getting a little discount now with them. I still think they're better than Auburn, but I think I prefer the total even more than that. I think it gets over the 60.5. Conor Mac, what do you like here?
Yeah, I think it gets over as well. I like this one earlier in the week. Yeah, I lean Arkansas too. Just the tricky spot, Auburn's been able to move it better, and we know this Arkansas defense has not been great. So if Auburn can do that, because I think Arkansas gets in the mid-30s in this one, and I see back and forth. So I'm right with you. I already bet the over, and yeah, I lean Arkansas. I just don't know if I bet the side here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I lean the home team. I'm not a big fan of Auburn football. I'm not a big fan.
And you've been pig suey a lot this year,
pig
too.
Suey. I've been making pig suey, pig barbecue, pig everything. I'm all about the pigs. But here's why. Okay, so they got their ass handed them at at home versus Bama. Then they go on the road for 2 games. They play I think it was Mississippi State, right? And then they play BYU, big win. But they lost. They lost that game, back-to-back games, and they had a good win at Auburn. But KJ's, he got a little dinged up. I mean, a good win at BYU. He got dinged up a bit in that one. Heroic effort type of game. So now they gotta go to Jordan Hare, right? And they got to play not an Auburn team that's gonna beat you offensively big time, but just I think this is going to be more of a grind style type of game for Auburn. Even though, like you say, Arkansas secondary is susceptible to the pass, I think they're going to try to open up, and that's what's going to happen here. So I think it's a sneaky good over, and I definitely like Auburn on the side because if you look at the market, I think the market's showing that too a little bit. So I just don't like the schedule spot. It's not because it's a tougher game for them. It's just what they're coming off of the past 3 games, especially this being the 3rd road game in a row for them.
Yeah, fair points. I mean, not the greatest spot for sure for Arkansas on the road as long as they've been. All right, next up, we've got Miami and Virginia. Miami is a slight road favorite in this game. Right now, we're looking at looks like 2.5 3-point road favorites, 48.5 the total. My head hurts thinking about this game. You look at the personnel between these 2 teams; it's not even close. Miami's they grade out the rosters. Miami's the better football team, but they just cannot get out of their own way. I am not laying points on this team on the road right now. Tyler Van Dyke's had problems all season. One of the most disappointing quarterbacks in the entire country has to be him. the way he has played this year for the Hurricanes. He's questionable. We might see Jake Garcia. And to be honest, Jake Garcia hasn't been much better this year for the Miami Hurricanes when he's been in there. More interceptions than touchdowns from him. It's a mess of a football team. And Mario Cristobal is quickly becoming one of the most overrated, overhyped coaches in college football. I mean, it's not like Oregon, soared to the moon with him. And now look what's happening here in Miami. It's been nothing but disappointment. At the same time, I'm not backing Virginia here. I mean, I know they beat Georgia Tech. They looked a little bit better last week. So my head hurts thinking and talking about this game, so I'm going to stop. It's a pass for me. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Well, I'll take it over then. This is a grimy game, I think, here. Virginia, not very good. Both these teams can't score in the red zone. Does Van Dyke come back and play? He was horrible. Or is it Garcia who's even worse? Both these teams are horrible in the red zone, third down. Both are -4 or -6 for Virginia, -4 for Miami in turnovers. What's going to change? Both teams miss field goals. Both are about 50%. So I like the under, and this is only Virginia too. I'm going to have a little on Virginia. I think take them +3. I think they probably win outright. There's no way I think Miami should be favored. But I really like the under, and I'll have some on Virginia money line.
It's just one of those teams. They continuously screw up, and they break down on defense when they can least afford it. And that's happened week after week. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I think Virginia can't score points. That's what I know for a fact. 16 twice, 17 twice, 21 times. I mean, Miami's no better. But I think Miami's probably the better has the potential better talent to kind of get there and to possibly squeak away with the win. But definitely an under spot for me here. I don't see these. There's no way I see these guys scoring 50 points. I see like a 17-20 type game, 23-20, something like that. But I'm on the under here.
Yeah, it's hard to bet over with these two offenses right now. Charlotte and Rice. Next up, we've got Rice, about 15.5-point home favorite, 61.5 the total in this game. I'm on the favorite here. I know Charlotte made a coaching change, which was it's shocking to see that it ended already. The Will Healy era, but it has. I mean, obviously, when you have that kind of loss last week, they feel a change had to be made. It's been a dreadful season for the 49ers, and we'll see if the coaching change, gives them some life, but I'm not sure it will. This has been bad football for weeks now, pretty much for Charlotte, and Rice just continues to line our pockets with point spread covers. Really, it's amazing to see what we've gotten from this Rice team. Another great cover and win last week against Louisiana Tech. The Florida Atlantic, they've been a point spread juggernaut. Their offense has improved. They've also been an over machine as well. So I've been lining my pockets week after week. Bet Rice, bet their game over the total. I'm doing the same thing here. Even with the big number, I think they could roll this just absolutely lifeless Charlotte team. I think Rice laying the points. I like over the total as well. Charlotte's got zero defense, zilch on that side of the ball. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, you're right, but Rice is catching a lot of points in all those games. Now they lay doubles here. I don't think so. I'd have to look the other way. I know Charlotte's not very good. They gave 34 though to UAB, 34 to FIU. I'd be leery of the back door here a little bit with Charlotte. I think they can sling it. So I'd look the other way. I don't know if I bet this one, but I'd be on the points. Charlotte.
You bring up good
and
points, G. Martinez, and the over. I agree with that. Who does Charlotte think they are? Yeah, Healy did take him to a bowl. I get it's a dreadful year, but are you going to find anybody better? This is the Charlotte 49ers football program. This isn't North Carolina. This isn't someone else in your state where you just all of a sudden you expect to be a juggernaut every year. It's a tough year, but this is not the kind of the program is not in a place where you can expect demand perfection. So I don't know. I think they jumped the gun a little bit with the firing, but hey, that's the world we live in these days. No coach is safe. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, well, especially after Charlotte being better in 2 touchdowns, favored over FIU. I mean, who the hell is Charlotte to be favored over anybody at 1-7? You know what I mean? Yeah. I know FIU is bad, but 14.5, give me a break. Missed that one. But I see points here either way. We know we've been cashing some tickets with Rice. The number's steep though, like Conor said. We're looking at them laying better than 2 touchdowns here in this spot. But I think they creep over between 35 and 40 points. Rice and Charlotte gets about 20, 24, and I think it goes over. This is my highest rated total of the day, over.
All right, loving the overs is Big Ragoo here. All right, Rutgers and Minnesota. We got Minnesota here, about 14-point home favorites in this game, and the total around 40.5. This should be an under, but I mean 40.5. It's a very low number, but I don't see where the points come from. I will say this about Rutgers. They made an offensive coordinator change prior to their bye week, prior to the Indiana game. Their offense did look a little bit better, a little bit more explosive. That game still went under the total against Indiana, but it was a little bit better from them. They ran the football better with Samuel Brown. Vidral was back at the quarterback spot. They beat Indiana 24-17. They've actually covered 2 straight. I think Rutgers might hang in this game, honestly. I mean, this is where I like betting Rutgers. You know, when they're getting double digits like this, they've still got a good enough defense. Minnesota is now kind of fallen apart a little bit the last 3 weeks. Their schedule's been tough. Purdue, Illinois, and Penn State, the last 3 weeks. But confidence is starting to wane a little bit. That's concerning. Tanner Morgan, the quarterback, has been banged up the last few weeks and is out once again for this game. You're going to lay 14 with Athan Kaliakmanis here, the Greek stallion for Minnesota, with the way he's played. I'm not going to do that. Give me the Rutgers Scarlet Knights here, plus the 14. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, this is wild. I can't believe it either. This is take the 14 with Rutgers. Not a very good team and not very good, especially on the road and at times lately. You talked about it. That'd be 41. That's what this is. That'd only be the under. And Indiana took the opening kickoff and scored 7 right away. So, and it still stayed under. So yeah, this is just the old Big Ten, dogfight. This is way too many points. So yeah, give me the 14 with Rutgers and lean under.
They're actually 4-3 now. Granted, a lot of the 4 wins for Rutgers were against weak teams and a weaker schedule, but still, this team's coming to play. This team is plays hard for Schiano. The defense is 6th in the country run defense, and man, if you stop Minnesota from running the football, you stop Minnesota from doing anything.
Minnesota's not going to sling it.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
That's PJ Fleck trying to row the boat. That's what that is. But Rutgers 5-2 to the spread. Minnesota 4-3, who wins 4-3 to the cover. So as they win, as they cover. But I don't think in this spot, it's too many points. With the quarterback issues, the running game issue. I mean, all basically Rutgers has to do is slow the run down, and we see an old smash mouth type Big Ten game here. With the number here, with the total and the side. So if you like Rutgers, you gotta like the under. So I like the under, so that puts me on Rutgers.
All right, Old Dominion, Georgia State. Next up, we've got Georgia State 3.5-point home favorites, 54.5 the total. This is kind of like South Florida, Houston. Why is this total going down, not up? Because these are 2 offenses I trust more than the defenses right now. Actually, Old Dominion's defense for a time was playing pretty well, but it's kind of fallen down the last few weeks. We've seen them give up 26, 38, 28, 3 of their last 4 games. They've not played as well on that side of the ball. I do like the Hayden Wolf at quarterback, though, in the offense. And, when it comes to Georgia State, that's a team that continues to struggle on the defensive side of the football. 114 in the country total defense, Georgia State. The key here is, can Georgia State's offense run the football? Yes, they will be able to, because I don't want Darren Granger throwing the ball a lick. He can't throw the football, but they can run it, and they're 10th in the country running the football, rush yards per game. And guess who's terrible stopping the run? Old Dominion, 104th, giving up 181 per game on the ground. So if Georgia State's offense works, the game goes over the total. I think this one will. So that's what I like over ODU, Georgia State. Conor Mac?
This one's difficult for me. I think Georgia State just hasn't been great winning games. Now they got to cover this 3.5. And Old Dominion has been up and down. This game was just a pass for me. It could get over. This line's dropped, though, to 54. We have over money. So I think in the end, I'm just going to stay off.
All right, good stuff. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I'm with Connor. This is a pass for me also. I went back and forth both ways. I like Wolf as a quarterback. Granger, he's more of a ball control. He's susceptible when he puts the ball up to get it taken away from him. So I see more of a ground control type of game. And I don't know. That's probably why the numbers probably crept down a little bit. Maybe they're thinking pace and run and stuff. But I'm off of the game.
I do. I think I might bet smaller too, Old Dominion. I agree. I think they're the better team. The one reason I haven't yet, though, is that run defense. because I know for a fact that's the only way Georgia State can win is if they can run the football very effectively, and that's not a good run defense for Old Dominion. That being said, I'd still lean that way because I ain't laying points with Georgia State's defense, which has been bad. No question about that. All right, let's go to the next swatch of games, by the way, are 3:30 Eastern games. Let's go through these two quickly. Illinois, Nebraska, New Mexico State, UMass. Illinois or nothing for me. I'm not stepping in front of Illinois. I know it's a lot of points, more than a touchdown on the road, but I don't trust Nebraska enough. I like the way they play Illinois. Great defense, great running game. Tommy DeVito's good enough. He's definitely improved at the quarterback spot now that he's got an O-line that's actually blocking for him. That's unlike when he was at Syracuse. So it's Illinois or pass. I might at 7. I would be interested in a small Illini bet. 7.5. I'd probably pass. I'm passing on New Mexico State, UMass. You guys want to bet that game? Knock yourself out. But I'm not going to ask either team to do anything for me in that game. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, Illinois, Nebraska. Illinois is the better team. Probably win. I'm just not going to take the side here and lay that 7.5. This, to me, though, I'm on the under. They need to control this game at 51. It's just too high. So I like the under. And the other one, I'm off. New Mexico State, UMass. Yeah, I don't want to be involved in that either.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Let's see. Illinois defense is what this game is going to be all about. And defenses travel well. So I would have to back Illinois or pass here. I'm not crazy about the number for sure. That to get up over the 7, get 8 points or whatever it is. But I do like it on a money line and a parlay though. I think Nebraska wins. I think Illinois wins, but I don't know if they get to the number. So
I agree with you.
If they get 2 turnovers or more, they'll cover. If they don't, they won't.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I think they win the game. They're probably a decent parlay option today. All right, Wake Forest, Louisville. Wake 3-point road favorite, 65.5 the total in this one. So the total's gone up. I agree a little bit with that. The money's come in on Louisville. I do not agree with that. I actually I think Wake's criminally undervalued here. I mean, what has Wake done to be bet against this? There's not really any major injury. Nothing's wrong with their offense. They're going to have A.T. Perry, Jamal Banks. Sam Hartman's fine. I mean, this is just opinion here that's knocking this line down toward Louisville. Oftentimes that concerns me. It used to concern me when I'm like, why is this number going down against the side I like? But it's not going to concern me here. I think Wake's just a better football team. I mean, I'm not really enamored with Louisville. I know they beat Pittsburgh last week, 24-10. They beat Virginia on the road. They also had a shocker loss to Boston College earlier this year. They lost at home to Florida State. And really, when you look at these home games, this is an even better team, in my opinion, than Florida State because Wake beat Florida State head-to-head. Wake's just better than Louisville. Wake's actually improved a lot, in my opinion, on the defensive side of the football. They had a rough game against Clemson there, but the last 3 weeks, I mean, they held Florida State in check, shut down the Army triple option, totally shut down Boston College. Shutting them down is not saying much. It's a terrible offense and O-line, but still they held them to 15. They've covered 4 straight. They've been undervalued week in and week out, and I think they're better than Louisville, and I think laying 3 is more than good enough to get involved and take the Deacons here. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I'm not going to get involved, I think, in this game. I do think Wake is better. And Louisville, just so tricky. It's this team, I don't, especially the last couple of years, I can't figure them out when they're going to bring their A game. Mostly, it's been here at home. Wake's better. I just worry this could be tight. This could be a close game. I think they win and cover. That's why I can't get involved. So, yeah, this is just pass for me. We should see points.
And again, Wake's defensive strength is against the run. So just like with Georgia State a minute ago, if you stop Louisville on the ground, you're going to have a better chance. And Wake's numbers defensively are better against the run than the pass this year, which should be good for them in terms of their chances here. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I'm one of Wake Forest's biggest proponents for the past couple of years, especially with Hartman. First halves, full games, that kind of thing. But I tell you what, not that it's a tricky spot, but like you say, what's really going on here? I mean, they played that FSU game, to your point. FSU pretty much handled them, the way they wanted to. That was early on in the season. But the last, 4 games, I think they've won like 3 out of the last 4. The defense is playing a lot better. So I think the cap here is Wake's defense to slow down the pass, and they do that better at home. Wake's usually passes for like 300 yards out, and average like 270, and at home, Louisville's giving up like 170 yards average against the pass. So maybe that plays into it. But if you look at the totals now, here we go. Get ready for this. 71, 66, 121, 91, 68, the last 5, and 56 6 years back, and that total was 55.5. So the last 6 have gone over the total. So that's what I like. I like the over here. I like the over.
Yeah, I do too. I like the. I'm on the over. I'm more on Wake, but I also did take a slice of the over here. I agree with that. All right, Cincinnati, Central Florida. The bounce house surely will be bouncing today. Bouncing again. Central Florida 1.5 point home favorites. 55 the total in this one. I don't look. Cincinnati, to me, there's some cracks in the armor with this team. I get that. They have struggled with mobile quarterbacks. It's worth noting, and they're going to face one here, John Reese Plumlee. But I still think this team hasn't lost an AAC conference game since 2019. You guys, that is shocking. They have not lost a conference game in 3 years, the Cincinnati Bearcats team. How the hell do you bet against that when they're a dog here? I think Cincinnati will find a way. I do have concerns about whether they can neutralize Plumlee. You neutralize his ability to make those plays, running the football, because he can't throw it great. Then you beat UCF. But they've had issues with mobile quarterbacks. It's funny, they actually are very good against the run. They're just not great against the run when it's mobile quarterbacks doing the running. So that's a key element of this handicap for Cincinnati. I'm kind of, going against what could be a matchup advantage for UCF. But at the end of the day, I trust Luke Fickell to have his team ready, although they got to negate the penalties. That was ridiculous against SMU, and they got away with it, and they still won the game. But you can't commit 16 penalties and expect to win the game. That was insane how many penalties they took against SMU, and it nearly bit them. They got to rein that in here. I like Ben Bryant, the quarterback. He's good enough. The defense has still been solid enough this year. Again, their weakness has been mobile quarterbacks. Hopefully they rein that in, but I cannot pass up an underdog price with a Cincinnati team that has owned this conference and has not lost a conference game in 3 years. Give me Cincinnati. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, this one's just too tough. This is just one I don't want to bet, at this price. UCF, this is where they're good, is at home. You saw them just go up the road to East Carolina and get whipped. And they had a bunch of yards there, bad picks by Plumlee. Yep. They're just a lot better here. Even the defense plays up. That's why, in this total, I'd look over. But I don't know. I think this is one I'm not going to get involved. You mentioned Cincinnati, been very good, but, that was a horrible, those last 2 touchdowns in that game last week, if people had that with the 3. So, yeah, this was just a pass for me all the way around. Shout out to Nasty Nate. Yeah, if you're not in the green, at least hit the like button. And, yeah, Boss is sick. He's not feeling well. He's a little under the weather. Hopefully he'll be back next week.
Yeah, exactly. He's we're hoping he's back with us next week. Another week will get him right back on his feet again. Big Ragoo, what do you think here?
I think we're going to see a tight game for sure, number one. And like you said, I think my gut feeling tells me Cincinnati ekes this one out somehow, some way. But more eye-opening is I'm looking at the action coming in on this thing, and friggin' 93% of the money's on UCF, and that line has barely moved. And 75% of the bets. So, I mean, come on. Come on. But I think we'll see a real close game without a doubt. UCF, they always give the optics of, big scoring games. At home, they've been playing to the under pretty tight, and Cincinnati's going to contribute that also, even though Cincinnati's, they're 4-3 to the over, but UCF is 2-5 to the under. But I think UCF's defense is going to play a good game. I think Cincinnati's defense, maybe if they can stop, like you said, Plumlee, that's the ball game for them. If they don't, then it's going to be a trouble spot for Cincinnati. But I think they adjust. Fickell's going to be up to the task. And I'm going to lay off of this one, but I'm going to watch it. And I think we see maybe I lean towards the under here is the only look I have.
And that's why East Carolina beat UCF last week. They kept they bottled up Plumlee in the run game.
They can take a page out of their book.
Yep, you do that, you beat UCF. That's the way it's been this year, and we'll see if Cincinnati can do that. Great game. That's one of the games I'm most excited about at 3:30 today. Next up, we've got Northwestern and Iowa. This one not so much, but I do have a bet on it. Iowa 11.5 point home favorites, 37.5 the total. I've never seen anything like this in my life. If you look back to last Sunday, the Circa openers in Las Vegas, this total opened 31.5. 31.5 with Northwestern Iowa. And people just hammered the over because we don't give a shit what kind of teams or offenses these are. You can't put a total in college football at 31.5. That was probably what the reasoning was. So now it's gone all the way up to 37.5, which is where it is now. Yet you do worry about whether the offenses will do, and especially Iowa. I like the Northwestern side. You know, we're starting to see this is what Pat Fitzgerald does. He's not got a great team this year. They had a rough, terrible start to the year, but slowly but surely, he's a good coach. He gets them to be better in October than they were in September, better in November than they were in October. That's what you get with Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern. Slowly but surely, look at last week. Competitive loss off the bye week to Maryland, 31-24. Look, that bye week, I think, did wonders for them. They got healthier, had one of their better games of the year. They were a lot more competitive. And at the end of the day, this is just, can Iowa score 12 points, let alone cover and win by 12 points or more? I mean, I like Northwestern here. Alinsky is not inconsistent, but this is just to play against an Iowa offense as a double-digit favorite for me. And Northwestern showed you a pulse after the bye week. That's what I was looking for. And to me, that might indicate a buy sign on Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern in this big underdog role moving forward. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
God damn, this is ugly. Yeah, just I mean, I take the points if you had to, and yeah, I mean, I couldn't take the over, so I lean under. I bet you this stays under. It's crazy.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I'm glad everybody went to Circa and bet that fucking over and push that thing up. I'm on the under here. I'm not even thinking twice about it here. I mean, ugly as Iowa is, Iowa's been playing an offense probably the worst in the number. They're dead. I think they're dead last in FBS if I remember looking at that stat recently. But in Northwestern, you know, yeah, they're gonna improve a little bit here. But I mean, if there's any spot for them to, I'm not gonna say they're gonna go up against Iowa's defense and put that, you know, put a ton of points up on the board there either. But I think people are thinking Iowa can score in Northwestern, but I don't think Iowa can score on their own family if they put them on the field up against them. And so I'm all over this under. There's no way. 37.5, I think that might have got away a little bit. No. I had it capped. I still show a little bit of value with that number too. That's why I kind of came back in. I'm showing like 6 points of value. So give me the under all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, it's definitely under or nothing for me in that game. Yeah. Regarding the Fickle 1-8 ATS on the road, which fits the profile today against an unranked conference team, how many of those games were Cincinnati a big favorite? That's the thing. They're an underdog today. You know, did they still win some of those games straight? That's the thing you got to worry about with that stat. You know, I think a lot of those games they were probably laying points. Here they're an underdog. So, but I get it. It's a stat that's definitely accurate. All right, next up we've got, as we continue along here, Oregon and Cal. We'll do these next two games together. Oregon, Cal, SMU, Tulsa. We've got Oregon 17-point road favorites, 56 the total. I like the over there. I think Oregon's going to get like 49. 45 at least with that offense right now against Cal's defense. I think they're going to. Washington went up and down the field against Cal last week, and I think Oregon's got an even better offense. I think, and Cal can do enough with Jack Plummer. Is he a great quarterback? No, but he can do enough. I think that game goes over the total. By the way, I totally blanked on this, but I forgot about it. But it wasn't Holinsky last week at quarterback for Northwestern. Brendan Sullivan took over after the bye week for Northwestern. He actually played okay. So, and it'll be Brendan Sullivan again at the quarterback spot for them against Iowa today. And SMU Tulsa, not on the side, just give me points in that game. We should see points. I mean, SMU, that offense, shaky defense, and you could say the same thing about Tulsa. So I like the over 63 there, SMU Tulsa. Big Ragoo, what do you think there? Oregon, Cal, SMU, Tulsa.
So Oregon, ever since that loss to Georgia, they've done everything right. You know, they're the cream of the crop right now in the Pac-12. Cal's going to have to figure out a way how to put some points up against his Oregon defense, even though Cal's got a pretty decent defense. I mean, Oregon played Georgia, you know, they got walloped in that game, but everybody else they've taken on, they've got it done handily. And that's the reason why we've seen this number kind of shoot way, way, way up here. So I would be looking at maybe like an Oregon team total over possibly in this spot. If you can get it under 38, I'd be on that. And then, and the other one, Tulsa, SMU, it's two pretty good football teams, you know, for the conference. SMU, they're having a little bit of an off year, kind of an unbalanced year, and we know why that happened with them. So I think we might see some points, not hard to come by for SMU, but I think Tulsa might be able to sneak out and kind of come away with a quality win against SMU because their defense isn't very good, and I think Tulsa's up to the task to put points up here. So I like Tulsa in this spot here.
All right, liking Tulsa here as the slight home dog. And yeah, Bo Nix deserves all the praise this year, every bit as much as the criticism he got in years past. He has got it going right now for Oregon. There's no denying that. Conor Mac back with us. Conor Mac, what do you think of these two games? Oregon, Cal, SMU, Tulsa.
Yeah, and shout out to Oregon. I know you're an Oregon fan, CB, and I just can't lay it with him here on the road. It's Cal or pass. Then Bo Nix, shout out to him. He's tearing. Cal just at home. It's just they haven't scored enough. We'll see. I think that can get over as well in that game. Oregon probably gets in the 30s, and we'll see if Cal can get move against that Oregon defense, which has been good in spots, but I still can get beat. I don't want anything to do with SMU laying points on the road, and not that I'm jumping over to Tulsa, but that'd only be the side I'd be on. So I lean Tulsa.
All right, next up, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Kansas State, 1.5-point home favorites, 56 is the total. Gundy's a dog. Gundy ain't someone I'm betting against. It's simple as that. And here we go again with him as a dog here. Slight dog, 1.5, but we don't even know if Adrian Martinez is going to play. If not, it'll be Will Howard at quarterback for Kansas State, who actually is okay, but he still a little bit of a downgrade from Martinez the way he's played this year. Although Will Howard can probably move the ball still against Oklahoma State's defense, a little leaky. I like the over as well with this game. I think Oklahoma State will move the ball. I like what I've seen from them offensively, but man, Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy continues to just, be an ATS machine, especially in this role as an underdog. There's no way I'm fading that. So Oklahoma State for me, over for me. What do you think, Con?
I'm right with you. I mean, just the question marks, that quarterback with K-State, we got to wait to see with that. But even with them in, it's leaned to Oklahoma State. It won't be easy to go there in Manhattan and win. But that's my lean right now until we get the news. Nothing on the total. I'm off right now. I guess it could get over. I got to look at it more. You muted? Ragoo?
Yo, you muted?
There we go. Big Ragoo. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's the thing with this one, too. K-State, are they going to put the ball up in the air a bunch against Oak State's dead last in the Big 12 on defense and giving up 300 yards a game through the air? So if they can exploit the Oak State defense, and that's the only shot they got. Otherwise, it's all Kansas State for me. I mean, Oklahoma State and Gundy here. So we'll see. And then what are they going to do? Who's Kansas State got for their backup right now? If
Will Howard.
Howard? Yeah. Oak State.
All right, we'll do these two games at the same time here. Temple, Navy, North Texas, Western Kentucky. Navy 15-point home favorites, 41.5 the total. I am beyond surprised this total is at this low. Navy could score 38-40 themselves in this game, the way Temple's run defense has been this year. Temple is giving up 180 rushing yards per game. That ain't going to cut it against the triple option of Navy. I mean, this could be a game where we just saw Temple give up 70 to a run-heavy UCF team a couple weeks ago. So I don't like the chances of Temple's defense getting many stops here against the triple option here. And if you look at recent meetings, 38 for Navy last year, 31 for Navy the year before. Both of those games flew over the total. I think Navy puts a big number up. And all you need from Temple and the son of Kurt Warner at quarterback, E.J. Warner, who's actually played okay at times, it's just a few points here and there. That game goes over the total, in my opinion. I can't believe the total's just 41.5 in that game. So I like over there. As far as North Texas, Western Kentucky, I don't know. I think North Texas, the way they're playing on offense, I might look to them as a 10-point dog in that game. I don't like laying points with them, but Austin Aune and the offense is moving. They might be able to keep that within single digits of Western, even though I like the way the Hilltoppers are playing. And totals-wise, that would be over or pass for me. It's very high at 70, but with those two offenses, I ain't betting an under. What do you think, Conor Mac, those two games?
Yeah, let's see if Temple, can stop Navy, maybe get them into like some third and longs. It'll be tough. I'm not going to mess with it. I think I'm going to stay off, but God, it's tempting that Temple, they covered last week. Just when a team can't score, it's just tough to take them. I think I want them with the
All the
points here. I
covers have
just
been
don't
at
know if they
home
get
though
there.
with Temple. They've been
I
brutal
know
on the road.
they've all
That's
been at
the
home.
thing.
They've been
Yeah.
good point. They've been awful on the road. So in the end, I think that keeps me off. Yeah, and in the other game, I like North Texas. I mean, they thought they won the game last week, basically against UTSA, celebrating on the sideline, then touchdown to lose it. Western Kentucky's been very good all year long and at home, but I think 10 might be too many. I think this kind of is just a back and forth shootout. Give me the points.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I lean Navy here on the team total over. If you can get, I think it's under 4 touchdowns. Because I think Temple will probably get a couple scores themselves. You know what I mean? So, I mean the over. I like that over. I like that overlook here. I think the odds makers are thinking we're going to probably see like a 24-10 type game. Possibly, but I think we maybe see like a 28-17 type game, something like that, possibly. But
that's all you need for the over, too. Think about that. 28-17 cashes an over ticket.
Yeah. 28-13 for that matter, too, right? But and then the other game's a little bit more tricky because I think the numbers are inflated on both sides. I think the numbers are a little high on the total, and I think Western Kentucky's number, as nice as they've been, covering point spreads, and so has the North Texas. If you've been backing these teams, you've been cashing some serious tickets. But North Texas, I think, it comes with a little bit of a Western Kentucky comes with a little bit of premium if you're going to lay the number. So I would lean North Texas here, and I think the market shows that too.
Yeah, I'll explain why that Temple total is so low. Temple plays very slow, and we know Navy is very slow, one of the slowest paces in the country with that triple option. They bleed the clock, both teams. I get that, but I mean the defensive matchup for both teams is not good. I mean Navy struggles against the pass. Warner can throw it a bit, and Temple's brutal against the run, and that's all they're going to see here from Navy. So the execution and the efficiency, I think, can outweigh the pace in that game. And you're only talking 41.5. All right. World's largest outdoor cocktail party. They may not want people saying it. I'm going to say it. God damn it. Georgia 23-point home favorites here in Jacksonville. 56.5. Not home favorites. 23-point favorites. Neutral field. 56 the total. I don't know. We've never seen Georgia favored by this much in the last, I think, near decade. I mentioned this on Monday's show with Connor against Florida. It's tough to lay this many. And is Florida that bad? They're going to get absolutely destroyed. I mean, the defense is that bad right now for Florida. It hasn't been able to get stops for a while. It just got to hope Anthony Richardson limits mistakes, is able to avoid that ferocious front seven from Georgia enough to extend plays, keep plays alive with his feet, with his legs, and athleticism. That's what you got to hope for in this game. I just feel it's a lot of points in a series history where we've not seen Georgia lay this much head-to-head against Florida. I lean slightly to Florida. And as far as the total goes, look, the Florida defense, I've got concerns. Georgia's a very good defense, but their offense with Bennett and Bowers and company, and very good, can run it, can throw it. Florida's defense leaky. It's going to be close to the total, but I think it could creep over, honestly, that 56.5. Conor Mac, what are you thinking here? Florida, Georgia, CBS at 3:30 today.
Yeah, maybe it does. This is a ton of points. Like, I just think this is close, or maybe they get blown out. The biggest key is, can Florida run it on this Georgia defense? Like, if they have success there, they're in this, and the points are live. And because it's so tough, Richardson doesn't throw it, and they got to do something, play action. He's got to make some plays during this game. If he does, can roll out, scramble, because like I said, they don't throw it much. I think they can hang around, and who knows, the back door could be open. What Georgia are we going to get, though? Top team, right? Just rolls people, or the couple we've seen about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I lean the points with Florida.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I lean Florida too, only because the number's huge, right? We'll start there, of course, and I think Georgia's approach. This is just me capping the game in my brain a little bit. Georgia's their defense is going to be swarming. Florida, they got to contain. All they got to do is contain Richardson more or less. Florida's defense is leaky, so they don't have to put it up a ton. So all they have to do is basically play mistake-free football. Not turn the ball over. And they really don't give a shit about covering the 20-plus numbers. They just want to get out of there. They're not playing for style points. They're the number one team in the country. They just want to go in there and play a little bit of Georgia-style football, smash-mouth football, SEC football, and walk away with a win. So I don't think they blow them out. And like Conor was saying, I think we could see a backdoor possibly when they start putting the subs later in the game, and then you get the backdoor. So I lean under, and I lean Florida.
That's happened to Georgia a couple times in the past, actually. The late backdoor score has gotten the other team to cover. It's happened a couple of times, yeah. So that's why. It's a big number right now here in this game. All right, South Alabama. We'll do these next two games next up. They're both at 4 p.m. Eastern. South Alabama, Arkansas State, Missouri, South Kakalaki. We've got South Alabama laying 9.5 against Arkansas State 53. I think it's a good bounce-back spot for South Alabama. Tough loss in the showdown against Troy. Two of the best teams in that side of the conference went toe-to-toe, and South Alabama fell just short. They could win, but I think they can win this one by double digits. I strongly lean to South Alabama. Blackman, by the way, it looks like is going to play for Arkansas State. There was question about his status. Looks like he'll go, but this Arkansas State defense, no comparison to South Alabama. South Alabama, the much better defense. I lean to the road favorite. I like Missouri a little bit, as long as it stays above a field goal. Look, I like South Carolina in the dog roll. I've taken them a lot in the dog roll. Now they got to show they can cover as favorites. And Missouri, to me, has been improving week by week, honestly. You know, they should have beat Florida, but they turned it over. They gave Georgia everything they could handle. Again, another loss against Auburn. They should have won that game, but they lost by 4 to Georgia, 3 to Auburn, 7 to Florida. You know, they've been competitive. They've been in these games. We're not used to seeing South Carolina favored like this. Now, that's a new role for them. So at above a field goal, I lean to the Missouri side there. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, the South Alabama, Arkansas State. I was back and forth looking at this game. I think in the end, I'm going to stay off. Arkansas State just can't get it done and kind of folds, you know, even with Blackman playing. Because I want to get there. South Alabama have been very good, but now they're getting numbers like this on the road, and it's not easy for them to cover. But I could see it winning by 2 touchdowns. So in the end, that's why I'm off. And the other game, I lean that way too with Missouri. I'm not crazy about it. I don't know if I bet it at all, but that'd be my lean. You mentioned it. South Carolina now a favorite. I don't want them in that role. Too sloppy, too many turnovers, shit like that.
And not good enough quarterback play from
yes,
Rattler, honestly. Yep.
Rattler. You know, hopefully, good special teams, all that. And I don't think their defense, you know, is that good. So, lead Missouri there.
Yeah, Missouri can't be trusted in the favorite role, but it's the same thing like South Carolina. I don't think they can be trusted yet in the favorite role. That's why Missouri I like as a dog, South Carolina I like as a dog. So that's why in that game head-to-head, I like the dog. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
That makes sense to me, but we'll see what happens. Arkansas State and the South Alabama Jags. I've been backing the Arkansas State a bunch this year, but I don't know if I'm going to get back with them this week. I got them last week. I lost. You know, they got blown out, and probably because of Blackman. But South Alabama, they can score points, man. They can score in bunches, and they play good on the road too. It's a good road team, and I would have to lean South Alabama here. And as far as the Gamecocks and the Tigers go here, I'm going to go contrarian on this spot here. I'm going to give them an opportunity to show us that they can win as a favorite and cover at home, even though Missouri's playing a little bit nicer. And like to your point, you said special teams. That's a big advantage for me in turnovers. I love the defense. I love the special teams. I think we played a little beamer ball in Columbia today, and they come away with a touchdown victory. Give me the Gamecocks.
All right, finding a way to get the job done by margin here, South Carolina, says Big Ragoo. All right, let's go to a couple of 7 Eastern games. Coastal and Marshall. Marshall, 2.5-point home favorites, 53.5 the total. And Colorado State, Boise State. Boise, 25.5, 41.5 the total in this game. Marshall and Coastal. Coastal's off a bye. I lean Coastal a little bit here. Marshall, to me, they got quarterback concerns. Who's it going to be? Charles Huff is, not very impressed with his offense right now, and he shouldn't be. It's been getting worse each week. Will it be Henry Columbi? Will it be Cam Fancher? They're going back and forth who the quarterback was undecided earlier in the week. But this is an offense that I'm not in a rush to lay points with right now. Coastal 6-1, like I said, off a bye week. Jamie Chadwell continues to mesmerize. He doesn't have as good of a team as he's had in years past, and here they are still 6-1, finding ways to win games off a bye week. Give me Coastal here in this game. And as for the other one, pass for me. I can't take Colorado State. They're that horrendous. Boise's starting to kick it into high gear, but I'm not going to lay that many points with Boise either. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, these are two games I don't want much to do with. I don't know what we get with Marshall. Just too inconsistent.
Hmm.
I like Coastal, but not enough to get to the window here. And on the other one, yeah, that's just not enough. I need more than this. I would need 40 points right now to take Colorado State. I got to see a change from them to even back them. But that is a lot of points. I mean, that'd be my lean if I had to.
I say hang in there if you're a CSU fan. Jay Norvell's going to get things going. He'll get
It'll take
better,
some time, but
it's going to take time. I mean, Steve Adazio left a fucking dump behind.
Yeah,
When he just left that program in the ditch. That guy, it was a dreadful run with him there. And unfortunately, poor Norvell's got to pick up the pieces. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
On the Marshall Coastal game, I don't want ever be no part of Marshall when they're a favorite. I can't stand them. I always have bad luck with them as a favorite. And like you said, Coastal always finds a way to win, even though, and most of those roles have been as favorites, obviously. So now we're catching points with Coastal, which I think is possibly a good look here. But and I lean to the under here in this spot also. Even though, like I said, Coastal, you've been burning a little bit of cash backing them up. And then as far as the Boise State Colorado State game goes, 0-7 to the unders are Colorado State, and Boise plays a pretty nasty defense. And I don't think they're gonna. There's no way I'm laying 28 points with Boise, but I do like the under here, so I show a little bit of value in the under number. I think that's a solid bet. So I'm going to be on the under in this spot.
I would agree with that. I think the under is probably the way to go. You just don't know how many points, if any, you're going to get from Colorado State. Just a wretched offense they have. All right, let's do the next two games here. UAB, Florida Atlantic, and Arizona State, Colorado. We have, UAB 3.5-point road favorites, 46.5 the total. And then we've got Arizona State, 13.5-point road favorites, 47.5 the total. UAB's got quarterback concerns about Dylan Hopkins. He got injured last week in the game against Western Kentucky, and Zeno had to take over at the quarterback spot, Jacob Zeno, and he was terrible. He was horrible. I mean, he's the reason why Western Kentucky ended up taking over in the second half. Not good at all at the quarterback spot. So I consider this a downgrade if Dylan Hopkins with that concussion doesn't play for UAB. And if he doesn't play, I actually might bet the Florida Atlantic side here as a home underdog, even though I haven't been impressed with that team. It's in the favorite role where they've really disappointed. They're getting points now, and I don't know if I'd trust UAB without Hopkins. So I lean FAU, but let's see who's at quarterback. And the other game's a pass for me. I'm still not ready to back Colorado, but I'm not ready to lay almost 2 touchdowns with a flighty Arizona State team. So that's an easy pass for me in that one. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, this is, FAU, as soon as they're favorites, they just seem like they can't get it done. But I'm leaning them, catching the points here. And I lean under. They had a couple overs with North Texas, but I think the defense has been decent. I lean under in that UAB, Florida Atlantic. And that other game, Colorado, I think they're getting better. I wouldn't lay it here with Arizona State. To me, as crazy as I'd be on the dog in Colorado here or pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I like the under in that FAU game, especially with the quarterback issue with UAB. Even with him in, I still capped it down towards an under. And that, like you said, they're playing at home, so I think they play a little tighter there. UAB is going to try to handle the ball a little bit differently. And then Colorado, I mean, them and Colorado State, you put them together, you maybe get one win for the season possibly. So I don't want no part of that action either. I'm not going to lay 2 touchdowns with Arizona State. Maybe a team total Arizona State possibly, but who knows? But they did get their first win, like you said, with the coaching change about what was that week? Was it last week or the week before?
Was a week before, yeah.
Yeah, week before. So that was just a temporary thing. Now it's back to normal. Like same thing with Charlotte this week.
Yeah, exactly. You get the bump, and then like just Georgia Tech too. That wore off last week when they lost to.
We'll see that'll happen the rest of the way out for them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, USC, Arizona. USC 14.5-point road favorite, 75.5 the total. Huge total. It still could get over, honestly. You look at USC, 43-42 last week with Utah, 85 points. And then you look at Arizona, they had 88 points in their game a couple weeks ago against Washington. They're off a bye week, by the way. Both teams are actually, so it's no advantage either way. high number, but I'm not betting under with these two teams. I mean, Arizona offensively with Jaden Delores capable, but we're also talking about an Arizona team that's given up 49 to Cal. Think about that. 49 points Cal put on Arizona, 49 to Oregon, 49 to Washington. USC is capable of matching that, in my opinion. So it would be an overlean for me in this one. Conor Mac, USC, Arizona.
Yeah, we talked about this on Monday. This shouldn't be bad. I'm not going to lay it, but I think SC can get it done. That Arizona defense, you talk about one of the worst in the country. It's just been awful. SC should sleepwalk and get 40 here easy. And I think their team total's got to be crazy. I haven't even looked at it. It's like 45 probably or more. You mentioned Arizona can score a little bit, but that SC defense still getting turnovers. So, SC or pass here.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams, Travis Dye, Jordan Addison, and that skill position group, they should run amok over this Arizona defense. Off a bye and off that loss to Utah, they also should be focused, on Arizona in a spot like this. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I think USC can very well double them up here. I'm not crazy about the total. It's a big number. And evidently Arizona is going to have to contribute to get it up and over 75. But I can see easily USC putting up, 40, high 40s to 50s here. I mean, they're going to have to. You see Arizona scoring 30-something. I think it's a double-up spot for USC. So I would lean USC to kind of cover the big number, if anything.
And G. Martinez is right. Often the highest totals on the board go over, and the lowest totals on the board go under. That's usually actually the way it works. So, yeah, that's why sometimes don't be shy of the high 70s or 80s.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 50-something to 20-something type game.
Very well could be. No question.
That bodes well for USC to cover.
This is probably next up the game I'm most intrigued by tonight in the night slate. SEC action, Kentucky and Tennessee. This should be interesting here. Tennessee, 12-point home favorite, 62 the total. There's a lot of situational elements favoring Kentucky here. They're good in the double-digit dog roll. The defense is decent, if not good. They're off a bye week. Extra time to prepare for this Tennessee offense, which I think they need. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a Tennessee sweat, because now the pressure ratchets up. This is a 7-0 team in late October. I've already had the big win against Alabama, and now you start to feel the pressure and the bullseye on your back now as well. How are you going to be able to respond? I mean, this offense, we know what it's like. It's sick, this Tennessee offense. It's downright friggin' sick how good they are right now, with Hendon Hooker running it, throwing the ball. His passing has gotten better and better. They've got Jalen Wright, who is a weapon running the ball. They've got an incredible receiving core. Jalen Hyatt, who is just a beast. Ramel Keaton, Brew McCoy. Oh, and you add Cedric Tillman, who's been out for weeks, back to that receiving core today, returning from injury tonight for Tennessee. I mean, absolutely loaded on offense. But Tennessee's not had an easy time of it against Kentucky in recent years. You look at the last three meetings, 17-13 Tennessee, 34-7 Kentucky a couple years ago here in Knoxville. And then last year it was 45-42 Tennessee, a wild shootout. And Will Levis had no problem moving the ball against Tennessee's defense. Now, I think the Vols' defense is better this year compared to last year, but I'm taking the points here with Kentucky. I think we're now at the point where we're paying a premium with Tennessee, and this is the zenith of value with them now, in my opinion, because they had the big win against Alabama. The power rating goes up even more after a win like that. It's not like they're laying 12 against not a team that's chopped liver. A very good Kentucky team with a solid defense coming off a bye with time to prepare and get ready for maybe their biggest game of the year in a series history that's been pretty good for Kentucky. They haven't been blown out by Tennessee the last couple of years. So I like the Wildcats here getting 12. Totals wise, it's tough. Kentucky doesn't want to get into a track meet. They're going to slow it down, time-consuming drives. But at the same time, I mean, a total of Tennessee in the low 60s is not something I'm rushing to bet under. What do you think, Conor Mac? Tennessee hosting Kentucky.
Yeah, me either. This is, just seems just like a little bit flat. Tennessee obviously plays Georgia, right, next week.
That too. Yep.
This is Kentucky, with the points. I think they can keep it close. Good rivalry. Obviously, it was a shootout last year. Both these quarterbacks were in there. I think there'll be points. I think this could creep over. Obviously, Kentucky wants to hold the ball away from, Hooker and that offense. Hendon Hooker, great name, by the way. That guy, hopefully, if he could win the Heisman. almost better than fair hooker. But yeah, give me the points with Kentucky.
And by the way, 2 losses for Kentucky this year, 10 points or less. And the game they lost by 10, Will Levis didn't play in that game against South Carolina. Remember, that was the game he missed due to injury. And when South Carolina beat Kentucky by 10. So with Will Levis at quarterback, they've lost 1 game, and that was against Ole Miss by 3. So I think this is a competitive football game. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Big on deck spot for Tennessee next week. I think they're going to try to leave something in the tank. They're going to win the game. I mean, they could lose the game. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying I don't think they're going to put everything out on the field in this game. I really don't. I think they want to get off quick, without a doubt. They want to score a couple touchdowns, whatever they want to do. But they're not going to Alabama Kentucky like they did, to Bama. They're not going to get up like 21 quick points here in this spot. I don't think they will. I think Stoops will have something put together for them. And like you guys were talking about Levis, he has success against them. He knows his team. They've had the games up against them. And it's going to be fast versus slow. Obviously, Kentucky playing to 6 unders in 7 games. Do I want to go up against Tennessee and try to catch an under? Not really, but I will go up against Tennessee and try to catch some good points here with Kentucky with a solid football team. And I think like you said, the situationals that are coming up in this spot here, they all point towards Kentucky, every single one of them. So give me Kentucky in this spot plus the points.
And you get an inflated number because of Tennessee just rolling teams and having the monster win against Alabama.
My power ratings actually have Tennessee, but my brain says put the brakes on. Let's get a reality check here, fellas.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of where I'm at too with this game. All right, let's do 2 more right now. Michigan State, Michigan, and Ole Miss, Texas A&M. We've got Michigan 22.5-point home favorites, 54.5 the total, and we've got Ole Miss 2.5-point road favorites against A&M, 54.5 the total. I'll tell you what, I worry about if Michigan State is going to be able to score on offense against Michigan's defense because they're a very run-heavy team this year, and usually when they can't run the football, they're going to struggle. And there's a good chance they struggle to run that football against Michigan here. But at the same point in time, this is a series history where Michigan State's given Michigan some problems and tough games. And there's been some years where it's been a good Michigan team and a bad Michigan State team. And even those years, Michigan State's hung tough against Michigan. So it feels like a huge number. They did look better last week after looking dead for weeks. They did look better last week against Wisconsin in that win. I'm leaning a little to Sparty here just because of how big the number is in this game. And as for Ole Miss A&M, look, less than a field goal, I'm on Ole Miss. I have no faith in A&M right now. They're floundering. They're finding ways to lose games. Offense sputters. Defense has been kind of overrated, and they're making gaffes in the special teams every single week, it seems. So at less than a field goal, even on the road, I think Lane Kiffin's crew can go in there and win a game tonight. I'm going to run to the washroom quickly, so I'll pass it off to Connor and Big Ragoo for these 2 games. Go ahead, C-Mac.
Yeah, this will be tough for Michigan State. God, they've just been so bad. I mean, this is such a big rivalry, though. I want to take the points. I don't know if I get to the window. Me even involved in the Michigan game, not even betting them, has not been good this year. And it's just there's been the lowest of lows for Michigan State. And Michigan, can they just run all over them? Michigan State needs to run it. They can't. Will they be able to throw it? I'm not so sure. I lean the points. The other game, I can't bet. I want to take A&M. That offense is just horrible. I like Ole Miss, but that defense is wretched. Can this A&M bad offense finally get going against this Ole Miss defense that's just starting to just fall all of a sudden? So I kind of lean Texas A&M. I'm not going to get involved, I think, in the game. And the total's interesting because that defense being so bad earlier in the year, to me, this was automatic under. But now maybe this gets over the total. Hit it, Ragoo. Hit these 2.
Here we go, another Big Ten classic. I mean, this used to be like a big rivalry game. It still is, but I mean the numbers kind of skew it the other way. What Michigan has going on and the more recency play of Michigan State. I mean, they're consistent. You kind of know what you get with them. You can kind of go up against them in a lot of spots, but notoriously, these games have a way of jumping up and biting you. Just kind of like that Penn State game and Ohio State game, similar feel here. Penn State's a better football team than Michigan State at this point, but Michigan's rolling right now. These are the times where teams that are, like when a dog is hurt, he's more dangerous. You know what I mean? And I think this is kind of like this. You still have to put the rivalry. I don't give a shit what the numbers say. You still have to put the rivalry factor in play here. So, and it's in the big house. This is Michigan State. I would say maybe, but in the big house, we're looking at pretty good solid numbers here. To lay better than 3 touchdowns. I don't know, man. I'm probably just going to sit back and watch this one. Now the Texas A&M game and Ole Miss, that's a different story for me. This has the same feel as when Miami went into, and we know Miami is nowhere near Ole Miss, but when Miami was rolling into College Station early on, and A&M couldn't do nothing, couldn't get out of their own way, and I had a first half look on that game, and I got that same look here again. Ole Miss's struggles on defense, A&M, they can't get out of their own way, and the short number, I think. The numbers right where it needs to be, to kind of get a good first half look here on A&M. So that's going to be my look here. I think A&M, Ian says that Ole Miss can kind of sneak away with a win. I think A&M could do the same thing here. It's going to be a tight game either way because of that A&M defense and the lack of defense from Ole Miss. So I think that bodes well at College Station for A&M. So I like A&M in the first half and full game here in that spot.
All right, good stuff. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, let me just see here. I lost our track. Okay, we'll do these two next. Pitt, North Carolina, Baylor, Texas Tech. We've got Texas Tech 2.5-point home favorites, 60.5 the total in this game. North Carolina 3-point home favorites, 65.5 the total in this game. I like Texas Tech again. I cashed a ticket with Texas Tech last week against West Virginia. I think Baylor is going to be a little bit tougher, obviously, than West Virginia. Certainly a better defense, but how much better? It's not like Baylor's defense has been as good as it was last year. We've seen them give up points, and I give Joey McGuire a ton of credit for this team. They're down to like their third quarterback. Tyler Shuck got hurt, and then Donovan Smith was, up and down, and they decided to turn the reins over to Baron Morton. And they're probably glad they did. This guy's played very well at the quarterback spot. And again, less than a field goal here. I like the Texas Tech side here, laying less than a field goal in this game. Total right now sitting at, looks like in this one around 50 or 60.5, I should say. I lean over as well. Pitt, North Carolina. I think North Carolina can beat Pitt. I love Drake May in the offense. I still don't love their defense. Week to week, still a work in progress. Keaton Slovis and the Pitt offense, though, they've made a ton of mistakes. They've moved the ball, turnovers. That O-line for Pitt is sucking too. Keaton Slovis was whipped and treated like a whoopee cushion by Louisville last week. They were just all over him with the pass rush. That's concerning. That O-line is not playing great for Pitt. So I do lean to the Tar Heels a little bit there in that game. Lean over as well. What do you think, Conor Mac? Baylor, Texas Tech, Pitt, UNC.
Yeah, this should be a good game, but I agree. Texas Tech at home, as long as they're at home, other than the field goal, I got to lean with them as well. I think it'll be a good game, but and Baylor just hasn't been the same, especially on the road this year. And Pittsburgh, Carolina, man, I want nothing to do with this game. Pass.
Right. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I think we're going to see a shootout in Texas somehow in this game here. Just a lot of points being scored, a lot of back and forth. I think Slow is go, right? He's the go today. So I think they should be okay on offense with Tech and Baylor. Like you said, the road struggles with them. I can see this game kind of sliding over the total too. Kind of lean that way, but I would definitely be on the Tech side and over if anything. And then the only way Pittsburgh has a chance to beat North Carolina if they could run the football well. But that offensive line, because we know NC's defense is trash, but they'll outscore you no matter what happens. It seems like they're sitting at 6-1, 4-2, or depending on how you play, it may be 5-2 with the number or a push in there. And Pitt, they struggle. They're going to continue to struggle here. So I would have to lean North Carolina to get the victory. I'd like a field goal, but anything bigger than that, I'll probably stay off of it.
All right, next up, we've got Middle Tennessee taking on UTEP. UTEP 2.5-point home favorites here, 52.5 the total in this game. I lean UTEP. UTEP at home is 3-1 this year. You have to remember that, and they still have a better defense, in my opinion, than Middle Tennessee. Now their offense is still very shaky, very suspect, but they had the bye week. They beat Florida Atlantic 24-21 at home. Sometimes these bye weeks, and look, teams flip a switch and they go on a run. I see this every year with multiple teams in college football, that they have the bye week, they get right, and they all of a sudden, after a bit of an up and down start, they get going. So at less than a field goal, I'm going to go mining for profits, just like last week. I used UTEP on this show against Florida Atlantic. They got it done for me. I'm going to go with them here. Better defense. Cunningham and the Blue Raiders have a good offense, but I think UTEP's got the better defense. That's the difference. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I agree with you with this short number. I think they can get it done. You talked about it last week. It was huge, that field goal to win it. Short again, UTEP or pass for me.
All right. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I like the UTEP spot. I usually like catching points with them, but this number is low enough for them playing at home, and they are playing better. And I think the market opened up a little soft. The number was shorter, but still below a field goal here. So, yeah, it's a buy-on spot for the Miners.
Miners, all right, liking them as well. All right, let's wrap it up with the final two games. They're both the late West. Actually, there's three. Actually, there's three here. We'll do them all here. San Diego State, and then we'll save Hawaii till the end. San Diego State, Fresno, Nevada, San Jose State, Stanford, UCLA. San Diego State, Fresno. If you're wondering why Fresno's gone up to 9.5, 10, there is a chance Jake Haener comes back at quarterback. That, I think, has influenced that line move. And if he does play, I actually might lay it with Fresno. I mean, San Diego State has a terrible offense, and if they fall behind, they don't have the offense to come from behind. So I am interested a little bit in the Bulldogs there as a favorite in that game. Nevada, San Jose State. I mean, I can't back Nevada, that horrible offense. But at the same time, do I want to lay that many with San Jose State? And I know this is the first game for San Jose State. They had an absolute awful tragedy in the program where some guy got killed in an accident. And I know it's going to be a very emotional, raw type of night for the Spartan team. So you think that might fuel a one hell of an effort from them tonight at home. And then Stanford, UCLA, I would just look at the over here. Maybe a UCLA team total over. UCLA looking to bounce back after the Oregon loss. And a defense they should be able to run over with DTR, Bobo, Charbonnet, and company. So I'd look at the over there with Stanford, UCLA. What do you think of those three games, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stay off this Fresno. I'll wait on the quarterback as well. It might just be too many, but they are looking a little bit better. It's San Jose here. There's just a ton of points. I'd lay it with them. That's how bad Nevada is right now. And the last one, UCLA back home where they've played really, really well. Always good to the over. But I think Stanford playing better football with McKee. I'd be leery. I think that back door could be open tonight, late night with the Cardinal. All
right. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I'm going to be off. I'm going to wait on Haener's info on that one. That's another dynamic altogether. I like the under in this Nevada game. I think San Jose is going to shut them out, like Conor was saying. Just Nevada's pathetic. So, but I still think I don't know. I still think it goes under. I think like San Jose has their way with them. And then as far as UCLA, Stanford goes, I'm with Conor also on the back door. I think UCLA is going to try to be more of a. I don't think they're going to light up this. I think they'll score points, but I think they're going to try to establish a run. They're going to play some pretty solid football up front, and then maybe late in the game they pull away. It's a score either way. They either win by 24, or 23, or 16 points here. It's going to fall right in the middle somewhere. So I think they'll win, but I don't think there's a good possibility the backdoor coming into play here in this spot here. But I lean the under too. I lean under here.
All right, the last game. It's always that midnight Hawaii special where someone's had a bad day and they're going to want to unload on this game. Wyoming and Hawaii to wrap it up. Wyoming 11.5-point road favorites, 50 the total in this game. I'm on the Hawaii side. This team has suddenly become a little bit of an under the radar meal ticket for me, believe it or not, in the last couple of weeks. I took them against San Diego State. They hung tough in that game, lost 16-14. They beat Nevada at home, outright as home underdogs, 31-16, took them that game. And I came back to them last week against Colorado State. They lost 17-13, but 6-point road dogs. They got the money once again. Now they're back home. They're catching a healthy number. Their defense is starting to play better. Shager, the quarterback's gotten a little bit better in recent weeks up with the offense as well. And Timmy Chang deserves a hell of a lot of credit. This was a this was a horrible team in the first week or two of the season. Horrible how bad Hawaii was. And look at how much more competitive they've become. And again, it's ever since the bye week. They had the bye after the New Mexico State loss, October 8th onward. It's almost like you have to break the season into two segments for Hawaii. Pre-bye week, post-bye week. Post-bye week, they're 3-0 against the spread. Hawaii, I think this is definitely too many points for a Wyoming offense. Can still be a little bit shaky. They do have a good defense, but when you look at the offense in Peasley, he's still only completing, 50% passes for the most part in a lot of these games. It's been an incredible coaching job by Timmy Chang just to have this team in a position where they're competitive every week already. It's really saying something that maybe this is the man for the job here at Hawaii with what he had to inherit. This has been really remarkable work from him. So I think Hawaii competes in this game. I like Hawaii here, plus 11.5. Ride them again. I've been on them 3 weeks in a row. They've rewarded me going back to the well tonight with the Warriors. What do you think here, Conor Mac? Wyoming, Hawaii.
Yeah, I've been on them as well. I think they cover here at home. Wyoming, a very good team, but the travel, not very good there. And I think Hawaii just getting a little bit better. Put a little maybe money line. They might not win it, but they cover it. And what I like even more, the under. Hawaii's been great to the under. So I love the under here. Get 51 and 50.5. Under in the points, double up there.
Coincides with after the bye week. Like I said, the defense has played better really in the three games since the bye week as well for Hawaii. All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't look for Wyoming to score a bunch of points, and Hawaii maybe not them either. So I love the under in this spot here, and that equates to Hawaii covering the number also. So I think way too many points on the island. Let's get the Pokey special going on right now.
There we go, the Pokey special to wrap things up for a Saturday in college football. Yeah, and that is a wrap. Wow, and with time to spare, this has got to be a record for us here on the College Football Pub Hub Show. 292 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We will wrap things up with best bets in just a second, right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com. Make sure you check them out. Again, Lawnmower 4.0, any Manscaped product, you get 20% off using the promo code Pub Sports. And again, sign up to be a member here. Join the YouTube channel here, Pub Sports Radio. $4.99 a month. About 18 cents a day. It's worth it. Definitely make sure you join as a member of the Pub Sports Radio YouTube channel. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Saturday College Football Pub Up Show. Conor Mac, what do you got for best bet?
Well, I didn't like last week. I have a ton, and I love a few unders, but Rutgers, plus 14, too many points. These two teams run it. I don't see one team winning by 14 or more. So give me Rutgers, plus 14, best bet.
All right, Rutgers plus 14 against Minnesota. Best bet for Conor Mac. All right, Big Ragoo, best bet.
I'm loving two games where teams have trouble scoring points but play pretty good defense at home. So I'm going to come back to Jimbo in this spot here. I'm going to take A&M at home to Mississippi that can score a shitload of points but may not score a ton today. I think Texas A&M ekes it out. A&M best bet.
All right, there we go. Texas A&M, best bet here for Big Ragoo to turn it around tonight at home against Ole Miss. My best bet for this card, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go a little bold here because I lost last week, the best bet. But I'm going to go bold here. I'm standing in front of one of the best teams in the country right now, and I'm going to take Kentucky plus the points against Tennessee. I mean, I can't pass up this situation, this spot. Kentucky has not lost a game by more than this point spread. And in fact, with Will Levis under center, they haven't lost a game by more than 4 points. And it was just that one game against Ole Miss. We're now paying too much of a premium, in my opinion, with this Tennessee team. As far as I'm concerned, Kentucky off a bye, the better defense, a Tennessee team with Georgia on deck next week. I think they just win this game, let alone win it by. I think they're in tough to win this game at all, let alone win it by margin. Kentucky plus 12 against Tennessee for my best bet for this Saturday college football Pub Hub show. All right, that'll wrap it up. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. Another great show. We hope to have our guy, DJ Big Boss, back with us.
Hello to DJ, man. Get better, DJ.
Get better, my friend. Yeah. It sucks being sick. I know I've been sick multiple times this year, so I know what it's like, but we hope to have you back next Saturday. And Connor and I will be back with you Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern, another edition of Hitting the Books. We'll have all the weekday, weeknight, MAC, and Sunbelt games covered for you on the show, plus several Saturday games. Looking forward to that. NFL Pub Hub, I'll be on that tomorrow. There's, of course, UFC tonight. Make sure you check that out. All that and more here on Pub Sports Radio moving forward. For Conor Mac, for Big Ragoo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you next Saturday, once again, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, for another edition of the College Football Pub Hub Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.
Welcome to another edition of The Walking Dead.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of ECL on Pub.
Class is in session, hitting the books on Pub Sports.
This is another exciting edition of the main event on Talking Ant.